looks pretty good. They actually swept that Tara's Rock there to curl.
It's very interesting. We've seen... Oh, there we go. Teresa in the chat jumping on already. Hi from Montana. Cheering, well, no surprise you're cheering on for Team Peterson as well, so that's exciting. Welcome to the chat, Teresa. It's great to have you here. And we stay neutral, of course, here in the booth, but you can definitely cheer for Team Peterson all you want in the chat. And anyone else who's joining us today for this draw, hop in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know who you're cheering for. We're happy to give you a little shout out and say hello. So thanks for anyone that's joining us today. Nice draw there from Team Kim. It's interesting you say that on the left side of the sheet there, Chelsea, on this. We've noticed kind of, at least from the commentating booth, which, as you know, we're not curlers when we're sitting in the commentating booth for the most part, so we're kind of guessing. But we have seen, even on the draws, it definitely cuts late. Once it gets past the hog line, you can really get some curl going very, very steep and going in fast. Did you find the same thing?
Yeah, the left side of the sheet is the curlier side of the sheet for sure.
Right.
So it makes sense that it would be a little bit slower. It just, the difference was greater in this game that we played today than it was when we played here. I don't even know what day it is, honestly. when we played Team Watling here in the morning, they were fairly even. It was a tiny bit faster and slower because of the lack of curl, but this was more a more distinct difference in the speed on the two sides. So we'll see if that happens here. It doesn't look like it's the case so far, but it wasn't for us either in the first couple ends.
Excellent. Well, this is why I love having a pro up here, because Chelsea knows all these intricate details about the ice and how things are going and paying attention to all that stuff. And as we know, my knowledge is not great on all that stuff, so thank goodness, Chelsea, you're sitting up here.
Well, the other thing, too, like I say, is the first time we played on it was great, and Jamie Barassa is one of the best ice makers in the world, and he for sure knows that that's what happened and would have taken some steps to fix it. So my guess is that we won't see it happen the way that it did for us. I think something kind of went a little bit awry there with the one side all of a sudden being heavy.
Right.
I would expect to not really see that in this game.
Nice guard thrown there by Kim to protect the rock on the button without having hammer here.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's tough because that's in theory a tiny bit longer than you would like it to be because it allows her to play the tap. But if you go tighter, then she's running it in. So what's the answer? It's kind of which one would you rather have them throw, I think.
And as someone who's skipped, obviously, when you start looking at that, do you start thinking more about recognizing and showing the appreciation for the team you're playing to, knowing which they would maybe lean towards? Maybe you're playing a team that likes to draw more or a team that is just really good in those run backs. You kind of pay attention to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you know anything about the other player, if you think they would lean towards a hit, then maybe you make them throw a draw, throw the tap or whatever. You try to, as much as you can to do that kind of stuff for sure. Sweeping for curl here.
Pushes it back to set two, though.
It's a pretty good shot.
So obviously you're very familiar with Team Peterson. I'm sure you've run into them numerous times in your career. What can you tell us about this team that you know?
Yeah, they're a great team. You can't take that away from them. I have lost to them a bunch of times in a row now, I think. I don't know that for sure, but I think if you were to look at my record against Tab in the last few years, I don't think it's very good.
So you're saying I should bring up the head-to-head for you and Tabitha right now on my phone while you were talking?
You're welcome to it. It won't be good for me, but no, they're a great team, and the addition of Corey Thesey seems to have really just fit very seamlessly. Obviously, she's a great player, and they seem to just have really good chemistry. It was a bit of a seamless transition, which you're replacing Nina Roth, who's an incredible player in her own right, and that can go a couple different ways, and it just was like they didn't even skip a beat. So it's very impressive their run they've had the last few years.
Definitely. And we should give a shout out to Corey as well. She is now the World Mixed Doubles champion with Corey Dropkin. So Corey and Corey, they took home the World Championships at the end of last season. So not only are we watching Team USA versus Team Korea here, Peterson versus Kim, but we've also got our World Mixed Doubles champion on the ice in front of you too. So props to her and Corey. I'm assuming that's also you've maybe run into Corey on the mixed doubles tour?
Yeah, I don't actually know if I've played Corey Thesey in mixed doubles. I played Corey Dropkin a lot, but when he was with Sarah Anderson.
Right.
We haven't played as much the last couple of years. Colin and I haven't, so we haven't gotten the chance to play against this new look lineup. But I did watch that Worlds, and they were incredible. They both played very well, but Corey Thesey made some absolute absolutely ridiculous shots in that final. It was insane.
Yeah, I would say the future is very bright in USA curling with Corey, but of course we're seeing up-and-comers team like Team Strauss and Team Sarah Anderson down there as well.
Yeah.
USA curling's looking very good.
It is very impressive with Strauss and Casper and the teams that they've got coming through the program. There's some depth there, which we haven't seen in the U.S. in a while, and it's good to see. It's good
Most
for the sport.
Yeah, for sure. Good growth down there going on right now. Do a quick shout out. Megan Edwards is back joining us. Megan, welcome back to joining us today at the Autumn Gold Curling Classic. Great to have you here. And Clockbasher, good point. We have two Petersons on the ice here. We have obviously the feature game with Tabitha Peterson, and we have Beth Peterson from Manitoba also on the ice right now. Both of them playing in Seaside games. Chelsea doesn't know anything about playing in the Seaside because she is already qualified B-side, so she got to avoid any chatter about that Seaside grinding.
Yeah, we didn't think that's what was going to happen partway through that B qualifier, but we'll take it.
A win is a win, doesn't matter how you get there.
There's no pictures on the scoreboard, thank goodness.
All right, so what is Kim calling here there, Chels?
I'm not sure.
So we got to practice your Korean, right?
Yeah, yes. Looks like she's maybe trying to get by that long red guard quite tight and make some sort of double.
Papers by that one nicely.
If you'd have asked me if it was possible to overcurl that before she threw it, I would have said absolutely not. So that's pretty impressive in and of itself. Not the result they were looking for, not terrible,
right,
but a little bit dicey for Team Kim here with Tabitha Peterson having the hammer and this and both of those yellow rocks are kind of frozen-ish to those reds behind them, so it's looking a little scary.
That end result for that yellow one that was raised over, like you said, behind that red on the back there, that kind of was just bad luck on where that just stopped, just corner freezing like that, or head-on freezing really.
Yeah.
Opportunity for Corey here.
Close back.
Looking like a good shot here. There you
That's
go.
really good. You don't usually like to see your sweepers not touching it, but in this case they were right not to, and it's in pretty much the perfect spot there from Corey TC.
We'll give a little shout out to the little mixed doubles world there. She can just walk her own rock down there sometimes. She's like, I know, I got my weight down perfect to find that 4 foot now.
Yeah, so now this is exactly what we were just referencing with those two reds behind the yellows. If the center line red wasn't behind that yellow, you could probably make that double based on the fact that they actually overcurled the one before it. It might be there, but it doesn't help you because it's just going to jam on that and then probably on the other side as well. It's a little bit hard to tell from this angle if that's the case, but sure looks like it.
Yeah. It's interesting because we always hear, oh, rocks behind the hog line or behind the center line is okay, back of the house, maybe that can use to your advantage, especially if you don't have hammer. Is this one of those, like you were saying, situations where all those rocks behind, just the way they're lined up, are just unfortunately not in Team Kim's favor right now, but they could be sometimes? Yeah,
it's a little bit unlucky. If you're trying to generate points, you don't mind them back there usually, but it's just kind of the way that they're. You don't want to be the rock that is frozen too. You want to be the frozen rock. And in this case, for Team Kim, unfortunately for them, they are the rock that's frozen times two behind the T line here.
There's a great view right there of what we're looking at here. And as Chelsea was saying, perfect like that back one. Those back two on your far left, frozen pretty nice.
It's hard to not leave all three yellows in the house with this.
Yep. Do you like this call, though, going for this long double here and try to break up some stuff here?
I actually think what I might do is slash it into the wider yellow-red because I think that way you might be able to kill two yellows at least.
Right.
I think if you run it straight back into the one behind there, you might leave all three in play.
Right.
Oh, and that was the call.
There you go. She heard you.
I think she was ahead of me, actually.
So your Korean is good then, is what we've just learned.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go, folks. Chelsea, if she says she doesn't know Korean, this is an example.
I'm
where
just hustling you, yeah.
she's just lying to us, guys.
turns
Come on.
out I can speak Korean.
Quite well, actually, to call a shot like that. Wow. But good result there, you think, for Team Kim?
I do, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they would have liked to kill that yellow, but they're second and third now, which is kind of all you could ask for. So not out of the woods by any stretch of the
Right.
imagination, but definitely looking a little better than it was a second ago.
Yeah. So Tab just drawing down there.
Yeah, I think basically trying to put it back in kind of the same spot. Maybe like it a little bit more buried.
Right.
Which one of the signatures of Jamie Barrasa's ice, and it's a great thing, is that it's very weight sensitive.
Right.
So with Corey TC's rock not being swept at all, if this one is sweeping weight, it will finish that little bit more. So you don't actually need to move the broom. It's just one of those things where if you throw a little bit less weight, you'll get that finish. It's always been Jamie's signature, and it's a phenomenal thing because it rewards good throws and good speed. I was chatting with him before the game, and he said, "I like the good throwers to win the game." I
Yeah.
said, "Hey, so do
fair.
we. That's great."
Very fair. So that one looks like it went a little bit deeper than what they were calling for.
Yeah, and that, unfortunately for Tab, that's the wrong way to miss that. If you leave that anywhere short, you still are in pretty good shape. And now if they make this, your whole end might be gone.
Yeah, kind of letting Kim off the hook here after controlling pretty much the first half of this entire first end.
This could go from like a 3 or a 4 to a steal.
Right. Something Chelsea knows very well about on stealing to take out some points and get some wins, right, Chelsea?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't exactly do it the textbook way, but it happened.
Are you still wearing those steel pants right now?
Yeah.
Looks like you are. Looks like you're still
No,
got 'em
I'm
on.
saving them in case I need them tomorrow morning.
Don't wash them. The good luck pants now?
Yeah, yeah.
This is Team Kim's last rock here in the first end. Brooms down and sweeping the whole way. It's going to overcurl a bit there, Chelsea.
Yeah. I think they were sweeping for line most of the time, but it was also a little bit light, so a little bit of a combination. Again, that's the same thing I just said. So that's probably the right ice if you're frozen by yourself without a lot of sweeping.
Right.
The ice is probably close, but for a sweeping weight, then you're going to see that overcurl.
So we know Peterson's sitting 1. Do you think they are sitting 2? At that last camera angle, Tab was kind of in our spot, so we couldn't see for sure.
Yeah.
Just move to the left there, Tab, or the right. That'd be perfect
It's
for our
hard
camera
to
angle.
tell. My gut is that they're only sitting 1, but I think if they were sitting 2, they wouldn't be looking at
the other way.
playing a hit at
That's
this.
right. There we go. So now what do you think?
I mean, it's still hard to tell from there, but if they were sitting 2 already, they wouldn't be looking at this red. So
Yeah, good
they
call.
must only be sitting 1.
Yeah.
That I, and it's, okay. I mean, obviously, yeah, make it.
Great commentary from the
Right.
skip there.
That's right.
Just go make it.
Okay. Okay.
We didn't get that last game, unfortunately, Chelsea. Your mic was not working great. Did you purposely just shut that off so we couldn't listen to you? Like,
No,
was that
I
a
didn't.
little conscious way that you're like, no, I don't want everyone to hear what I'm saying? What happened there?
No, I didn't. I don't know what happened. If I knew it wasn't working, I would have taken it off because it doesn't really fit very well in the pocket of my pants. But
Here we go, Tabitha Peterson's last rock here in first. Currently with at least 1 in her pocket, looking for a big score here. It's unfortunately going to rub off that guard there. Both teams taking a look, but there we go. Chelsea's got the eagle eye. She called 1. Both teams on the ice, of course, agreeing with her. We're going to put 1 on the board for Team Peterson with hammer here in the first. We'll be back with end number 2 action here at the Autumn Gold Curling Classic. Team Kim from Korea will have hammer. And welcome back to end number 2 action here at the Calgary Curling Club for the Curler Corner Autumn Gold Curling Classic. Team Peterson took the single in the first. Team Kim will now have hammer here in end number 2. And as we'll see right there, first shot, first guard, around the center line, kind of what you'd expect them to start us off here. Right, Chelsea?
Yeah, I think if you had seen Tab make that shot for 2 or 3, then that rock would probably be in the house. But
Right.
given only a 1-point lead, you really like to force the issue. This is where the odd end, even end thing comes into play. So you would love to force them here and kind of turn that back around and give yourself another chance.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the call of the guard. And then that, unfortunately for Team Kim, that rock didn't quite curl enough. That is what we found to be the straighter side of the sheet. So gives Tara Peterson here the opportunity to throw a freeze. Could even move that a little bit if you needed to.
When you have an end like that Peterson kind of controlled in the first, and with you being a skip and playing, and only picking up your 1 when you really felt like you had a good opportunity for 2 or 3, do you worry about that's just the end, first end 2? You shake it off really fast. You kind of go, what a missed opportunity for us. How do you kind of balance that out?
Yeah, that is the hard part, and I don't think that they've gone crazy aggressive here by any stretch of the imagination, but
Right.
it's sometimes you want to force the issue too much after that because you kind of want to make up for it. Like, well, now we need to steal because you feel like you're owed a point or 2 a little bit.
Right.
So you have to manage that. But Team Peterson is a team of veterans. They won't be fazed by that. It is what it is, and you go. They could have thrown the draw for 2 if they wanted to kind of guarantee themselves that, and they decided to take the risk, and it didn't pay off, and that's curling. I mean, that's what happens, and it's only the first end, and you still scored. Like, scoring in 1 when you have the hammer versus giving up a steal is big. So they won't be fazed by it, but it is a thing that you do have to manage, is that feeling that you're owed something, and then you try to get it back too fast is the
Right.
mistake that you see made sometimes by teams, and I know I've done it, and I'm sure that they've done it as well, but I don't expect them to do it here at this stage in their careers.
Yeah, good call. We should say Team Peterson is prepping a little bit for the upcoming Pan Continental Curling Championships as well. Those will be held in Kelowna later this month. They'll be representing Team USA again and trying to book their spot in the World Championships for the Stars and Stripes. So this is you couldn't ask for a better tune-up event really for that kind of event, hey?
Yeah, it's a great tune-up for that. It's a lot of really good teams. It's quality play. You've got Jamie Barassa here doing the ice, so you've got some quality ice conditions. It's as good as you could ask for. I mean, this event's been running for so long that they would be here anyway. Like they've come to this anyway, even before the Pan Continentals were a thing.
Yeah.
It's just a fantastic event. But yeah, great lead up for them, and I'm sure they're not the only team here that is preparing for that. So really, really great to see them have the opportunity to come here and get feeling good about their game going into those Pan Continental Championships.
Yeah, good call. And they are champions here 2 years ago, so they definitely
beat us in the semifinal that year.
I was just going to say, Chelsea,
was a rough one.
We don't talk about the playoffs for that year, right?
We don't talk about the semifinal. I think I don't even think it went 4 ends.
So that would count on one of those head-to-heads that did not go to your advantage, right?
And that was like that. They scored more points in that game than I think they've scored against us in the whole rest of the time. Like I'm not sure we scored. I think it was like 8-0 after 3 ends.
And Team Kim here will not be the team that goes and represents Korea at the Pan Continentals. That will be Team Kim as the Korean Championships. This is a younger team from Team Korea. They did compete at the Korean Championships, though. Korea has a different format than what most teams are used to. They have their top 8 or 10 teams do a first-round round robin. The top 4 advance to the second round, and then after that, they eliminate teams to go to the playoff round. For this team, Team Kim, they ended up finishing 4th at the Korean Championships. Those were competed this past June. So we know a little bit about them.
Yeah, we know a little bit, yeah. I mean, they're still alive here in a pretty good field, so obviously they're pretty good at curling.
Definitely, most definitely. Yeah, good question, Teresa. So the Pan Continental Curling Championships will be held in Kelowna this year. This will be the 2nd edition of them. They were held last year in Calgary. Right after this event, last year it was Halloween weekend.
Anything that was more.
There we go. Clockbashers in us too. Kelowna, BC. That will be where all the teams are going to be joining. And of course, Team Canada will be represented by our Canadian champions, Team Anderson. So what do you like here for Team Kim on what their game plan is in this end there, Chelsea?
I think for Team Kim, you're trying to set up 2 points, but without a lot of risk. You want to make sure you can score. Again, that odd even end thing.
Right.
When you have the hammer in the even ends, you have to at least score. So the biggest risk is trying to give up a steal. So you go for like a cautious deuce. You don't really want to blanket, but you definitely don't want to give up a steal. So you try to set up 2 while always making sure you have something pretty makeable for 1 would be the general game plan.
And that last shot there from Team Kim, rolling the other way and still being off the ice. Unfortunately, not really much of a usable rock for them moving forward.
They were trying to roll in, so that one getting a little bit more curl than they were hoping for.
A little bit like you're saying, still getting a little tricked by the ice on how to get these nice hit and rolls. It's a nice shot coming up right here.
Probably hoping to get underneath that, but that is the straighter side, so it's going to be a hard one to make that little roll inside. So good result there, but does give Team Kim the opportunity. Now there's a little bit more space, so they probably can get low and roll underneath that guard. The good news for Team Peterson then is it's a fairly short little run back.
Right.
And if you're Team Peterson, you don't mind seeing a blank here at all.
Yeah.
So if you make that run back and they end up blanking, you're very happy with that result.
Yeah. This is why you're a Scotties champion.
I mean, it's great to have a good game plan, but the execution is a little more important.
Rolling away, but bites on at the side there.
Right, you got it. Hold you.
So for Corey, obviously she's going to want to stay in the rings here, right? With this hit rolling out, will just give Kim the opportunity to, like you said, go behind the guard first. So Noah's hit is kind of the goal. And of course, she makes it no mistake. That's a pretty long roll, hey?
Yeah, it is, and you're going to be so far back that I'm like, if you're Team Kim right now, basically what this says to me is that they're okay with a blank.
Right.
Because if you wanted to try to generate your 2, then you throw a draw somewhere. You go around that guard. You could even go around your red. That's essentially a corner guard, and you could outcount that Corey TC shot stone right now. Right. So by hitting this, you're telling me that you're okay with a blank.
Yeah. When do you, like as a skip, when do you kind of make that transition and go, okay, we're probably not getting our 2 here. Let's just move forward and go for our blank and reset for the next end.
It depends on the end,
yeah,
for sure. Well, look, they're making us look silly because she made it almost perfect.
She must
Apparently
have heard
that
us.
roll is easy. So
she's mad at us. She's like, oh, you don't think I can do it? Watch me.
What do I know about curling?
Hold my wine.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the end and the situation.
Right.
But to me, when I would have come into this end going, okay, easy deuce, but a single is okay. And so then I would have probably ignored that rock.
Right.
And that also, they made a really hard shot look easy there.
Yes.
That, like, hit and rolls in general are hard. They're way harder than people think they are.
Yeah.
Statistically, they're made about a little bit better than half the time.
Yeah.
So, everybody goes, well, I don't want to leave them the roll. Well, you should be okay with leaving them the roll because I guarantee you it's a harder shot than the draw. But she made that look quite simple. But I think for me personally, I would have ignored it because I'm not terribly worried about that one on the side, and I'm okay with taking 1.
Right.
In the third end, I would have hit it for sure because I'm very happy with a blank there.
Right. So we go first skip stones here in end number 2.
Well,
Just gonna lose the shooter as well. There's that draw Chelsea was talking about earlier. Good opportunity for Kim to get around that front guard now and maybe potentially generate a skipper's deuce here.
she trying to throw? Okay.
I'm not sure what the weight call was there for Tab, but
Right.
it seemed to me like that was a fair bit of weight for that shot, so I wonder if it was maybe just a little bit heavy. It looked like a good throw.
She's doing all these things with her arms.
Welcome tonight, Sunday.
The lady.
Maybe some announcements going on upstairs behind us. So if you hear some of it, just so you know, that's what's happening. Our mics are that amazing that it picks up every little bit around us, so just so you know. And we'll also give you an update too. After the second end is over, we'll do a scoreboard watch and go around the rings, show you who's on the ice right now and what those scores are. We've got a lot of C side semifinal games and a B qualifier on the ice. So we'll give you some score updates at the end of end number 2. Well, how do you like that draw there, Chels?
Yeah,
It's kept sliding, hey?
Yeah, it would have been deeper than they wanted. So, again, decision time for Tab here. You could chase that and let Team Kim probably blank, or you could throw a draw behind that guard, which is a bit riskier. You run the risk of giving up a 2.
Yeah.
But could get a steal out of it. It looks like she's going to chase it, which I think would be my preference. It's still so early in the game, and again, you're not that upset about them blanking even ends.
Right.
If she could ever get low underneath that guard, get across the face of this a little bit, that would be ideal. But this is one where you don't get too what we call too cute with that guard. You make sure you're by, and then you maybe carve it a little at the end and hope you can get under, and then you might see Team Kim have to draw for their 1. But tricky shot, although this should curl a little bit more than that intern side that we were just watching.
How lively have you found the rings to be on this sheet when you guys playing?
Pretty lively.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're pretty good for the most part.
And there's what we were saying could potentially happen here. Skipper's deuce out of nowhere for Team Kim now. Just a nice open draw to the paint for her.
So I'm not sure. I mean, that is the curlier side, and that's kind of what we saw. But that's twice in a row that Tab has thrown that rock, and it's been not close. Like, it's over curled right out of her hand. So I don't know if maybe she's getting her out turn started a little bit, or if it was me and I was in the game, I would be asking questions about is she doing that, or is that the rock? Because that's twice that rock has dramatically over curled very early.
Might be time to pass that rock off.
I mean, I don't think it would hurt.
We might see that rock get shoved down the line to somebody else for starting at end number 3. But opportunity for Korea's Team Kim here. Just needs an open draw to the paint. Brooms down. Everybody looks pretty happy so far. Good opportunity there, even with an open draw, just to kind of get the feel of that draw weight again here after a couple ends of play. So nice way to hit the paint. Team Kim will score 2 here and now take the 2-1 lead over Peterson after 2 ends of play. The Americans will have hammer, though, when we come back in the third. And while they talk it out and figure out what they're going to do in the third end, we will head over and do a scoreboard check. We've got, like we said, some C qualifier games going on, and our C semifinals, I should say, sorry, and our B qualifier game going. There was a qualifier in there somewhere.
Close enough.
That word was coming out at least once in this game, so we'll do that. There we go. Thank you to our wonderful camera crew. So, Chelsea, what are you seeing over on sheet number 2 and 3 so far?
It would appear that Amber Holland got a deuce in the first end and then a force, so throwing the perfect game so far over there. 1 up with the hammer, playing 3. We don't see a score there on, it looks like maybe a blank end in 1. Nakamura and Ha.
And it looks like they're down to final skip stones over there. So we'll update you once we see what happens over in end number 2.
And I need Kate to move out of my way to see.
I think it's still 1
because
the 2 was the blank, I think.
Oh, okay, so it looks like 1-0 for Corinne Brown over there.
And that is our B qualifier game now. Now we get to say the qualifier word. I knew it would come out eventually.
It was going to happen eventually.
That's right.
And then it doesn't look like we've got a score posted in the Galusha Muse game on sheet 6, so we'll keep you updated. It looks like a blank in 1 there as well, but I'm not sure what happened in 2. Similar with Ackerman and Watling. Blank in the first end, and we're not sure what happened in 2. We got to tell these guys to mark the score a little faster. And then Beth Peterson coming out of the gate very strong against Kayla Skrlik with a point in the first end and a steal of 2 more in the second end. So 3-0 Peterson on sheet 8.
And there you go. There's your Around the Ring scoreboard coverage from Chelsea Carey. Nicely done, Chelsea. We will say, putting up the scores on the board, you're very good at it. We were doing some commentary yesterday, and you were on sheet number 8. And every time we panned to you, we were like, and we're just waiting for the score. And sure enough, as soon as we said waiting for the score, you turned 3 times you did it. And you put the score up almost like we thought Is she listening to the broadcast while curling down there?
Couldn't
Because
you see my AirPod?
it was very impressive. We were like, Chelsea is really, really good at knowing that scoreboard watching is important when you're up here.
Well, you know, it's not even for that. I just always think of in this case, my parents are actually here, so they're watching the games live, but I always think of them sitting at home refreshing line
Nice.
scores, so I feel bad when it's not marked because then it can't go on Curling Zone and no one knows what's happening.
That's right. And the fans and the family and the friends all want to know what's
I know
happening.
it's the third's job, but if I'm standing down there doing nothing, I can at least make yourself useful. Hang the score up.
Yeah.
The hell? I think so. What was that time? Yeah.
죽을 것 같았어.
All right, Chelsea, so what's going on here with our end number 3 action so far?
Careful, careful.
I'm not sure what the call is here. Maybe going around their corner guard.
We saw Becca's face there. She didn't look too excited about that rock throw.
I heard them say careful, 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 so I think they think it's heavy. Trying to make it curl now to get it buried behind that corner guard. Not so important to be shot on that one for Team Peterson. Even if you were buried, you wouldn't be shot. You just wanted to get it buried. Unfortunately for them, and again, that's the weight sensitivity of Jamie Barrasa's ice showing itself again there. Because that was a little bit heavy, it didn't get that finish. If that were sweeping weight, it probably would have got over there.
In your game earlier today, how was it playing out to the wings like that? We see a lot of, even the first two ends, we've seen a lot of focus down the center of the sheet, but now we're seeing that we're shifting out and playing out to those wings area. What was the wing side like?
Often it's a little faster.
Yeah?
Because it hasn't broken down, and the speed honestly has stayed good through the middle as well, but we found it, if anything, in general this week, a little bit faster to the wings than to the middle.
Okay, good. See, things for us to watch, folks. This is, like I said, why Chelsea's up here helping us out. Gives us the inside scoops.
It's pretty common in arenas to see it faster to the wings because you get that fudge in the middle.
Right.
We haven't really seen the fudge in the middle here at all. The speed has held up great. You know, if one side's a little faster, a little slower, that's fine, but it's consistent and it stays through the whole 8 ends and extras and everything. We haven't seen a lot of breaking down.
Right.
But yeah, the wing does seem to be, if anything, a little bit faster.
그 빠지는 그 모션.
Hit and split the house. Yeah.
So there we go, Skipper calling it for us. I always love when all of you as a skip commentate for us and just tell us what you're going to do. That makes our jobs a lot easier. So with the little miss there by Kim rubbing the guard, as you heard Tabitha Peterson say, let's split the house, and good opportunity to set up for their potential 2 or more here with Hammer. Nice heads up sweeping right there. Great example of what you want to do if you're watching and trying to get into the game or playing the sport. Great example right there of what to do when you're sweeping. Take some heads up look and sweep away.
Should actually be a lot of the times too the outside sweeper telling you. As
Right.
the inside sweeper, your job is just to do what you're told.
Right.
So the job of the outside sweeper becomes to be the communicator between the sweepers and the person in the house, and B, your eyes for whether you're supposed to sweep or not.
Right.
So when you're the outside sweeper, you're going hard, 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 and then you see Tab hold her hand up and you go, whoa, 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 stop, stop, stop. That's your job a lot. So there should be a lot of back and forth, but so that because it's hard to look up, especially if they're throwing some weight.
Right.
It's hard to be sweeping and looking up at the same time. So that outside sweeper becomes really important as the kind of go-between, the communicator between the person in the house and the other sweeper.
Communication is key, is what you're saying?
Yes, that is a very good way to sum it up. I said it in about 500 words and you said it in 3.
But you said it in the great specific ways for those watching who are trying to improve their curling game. That's a good thing to know. And
These
again,
little rubs are killer for Team Kim right now. That's twice they've just
Well,
feather
if it-
rubbed something and it's
I don't
putting
know
them
if it
in some
is.
trouble. So Team Peterson loving these odd ends with the hammer. They've been set up really well a couple times here. So I think they're already sitting 2.
yep, I think you're right.
11초 1.
Yeah, that makes him run.
What would you lean
What
to
if
on
we
this
go
call?
Even?
My first thought was to hit that red, even though I know it's not counting, just because they
At
can
least it's
use it, and you
harder.
could roll, you could kind of Christmas tree around that corner guard, roll half, bury it, and show them half the back one and make them make a play. But there's nothing wrong with just sitting 3. The problem with that is there's inherently some risk.
Right.
If it ever curled on you for some reason and you ran it onto your own, you wouldn't obviously be very happy. And they've thrown to this wing already, I think, so they kind of know the spot and then make Team Kim make a shot.
주라고 하는 게 낫지 않아요? 그러면
So just going top side 12-foot kind of area roughly here?
My guess is even
Even? Okay.
with that, yeah, so basically biting the 8-foot,
Okay.
Gotta go.
like top 8 depth.
Definitely going to have to sweep this one to get it there. Just goes right to the tee line.
Okay.
There you go, perfect camera view right there of where that rock ended up. And as Chelsea was saying, now Team USA is sitting 3.
오케이, 4.
Any double or
Nice
triple
guess.
chances on where those rocks are right now,
I don't
Chelsea?
think there's
No?
a triple, but
Okay.
you could make a double, but the problem is it's so all or nothing that I think you're better off to just play a hit and roll here. If that had gone a little deeper, the triple might be there, but I think where it is, if you made that, you wouldn't hit the other one.
Right.
You might be able to could have maybe made it with the out turn, but I don't think it's worth trying. I like the idea of hitting and rolling, unfortunately, for them just get the nose hit there.
Right. Reward wouldn't have been worth the risk.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think if it was to win the game or something, it might have been there, but I don't think I would have thrown it if I were Team Kim.
Not an end number 3.
No,
It's more of an 8
it's
then
a
kind of
little
thing?
early, yeah.
And as you're saying, Peterson's going to be pretty happy with how this end is shaping up thus far for them. As we start, here we go with Corey's first stone here in 3.
Probably would like a tiny little bit of a roll to the inside if you could, but you play that really cautiously because you can't ever jam it. So if you nose it, it's okay. But in a perfect world, you'd roll a little bit to the left. They're going to have to go to hold this one. Oh, she got away with it.
Yep.
That's a perfect result.
That was exactly what you were going to call, right?
I mean, that is what I would have called, but
That's perfectly done.
I would have, you have a few mini heart attacks when you think you might jam it, but that's a very good result there from Corey
Yes.
TC.
Yeah. And as you saw, Kim looking at the angles there, lining up to potentially make the double here.
Yeah, I think now you probably have to try the double. There's not really a great place to roll because this rock is so high in the house now.
Yeah.
So looks from here like it's maybe 2/3, I would guess. Sweeping this one to curl might make the other double. Oh, no.
Just breezes by, unfortunately, everything there.
What just happened?
Yeah, tough result for Team Kim on that one.
Yeah, that's obviously not what you want. Flashes are never good. It's even worse when the other team is already sitting 3.
Sometimes run that risk when you try those kind of doubles, though, right? Because you, like you said, you kind of have to hit it more on the outside a little bit. So, but that one just, do you think it just didn't curl, or was she been maybe outside on the throw?
It looked like she might have set it a little bit,
Right.
but it's a little hard to tell. They were sweeping it for curl basically right away. So either she slid a bit wide or she set it out a little bit too much. Sometimes when you try to throw it hard, that little set on your out turn, I know I've been caught on that many times, even today. It's easy for that to happen.
Right.
And again, that is the straighter turn. So you'll be punished more for a little bit of a set there than you would be if you were throwing it on the other side of the sheet, if you're throwing the in turn, because it would have that little bit more finish.
Right.
So obviously you're going to want to sit 4 here if you're Tad Peterson, but they're just talking about where is the best place to put this.
Yeah, where their brooms are. They might have and roll under.
이거
Yeah,
트리플이었는데.
straight run.
Kind of
Right,
crank their
isn't that
mics
the
up
time?
just a little bit.
더 내려왔으면
Is and roll under.
약간 묻었으면
So maybe we'd rather cheat it more this way. Right, right. So, okay. We'd rather be shot. Um, 4-2.
It's a really good shot there to hear lining up for the shot. You like that chatter?
Yeah,
Good
I
call.
think that's a really good conversation, and I agree with the idea of the call. They're talking about just top 12 as not really guarding this wing one, but sort of in line with it. You're probably going to leave them, like, you can't take everything away.
Right.
The only downside, and I say that a bit sarcastically about sitting 4, is it's hard not to set up doubles and triples because there's just so many rocks there.
Yeah.
So that's what the conversation is about. Unfortunately, this one going to slide a little bit deep for Corey.
That can't really
아니요, 얘 지금
make sense.
Would you ever with Corey's first there? I know Corey kind of roughly set it for a second there and hitting that front yellow one and just kind of splitting them off a little bit to go both into the 8-foot. Would you ever think about doing that kind of shot on that one or no?
Yeah, that's a great result, but again, it's a
Risk?
shot that is so hard to make.
Right.
It's underrated, the difficulty of a split. So everybody
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, just throw the split, like it's no big deal." It is a big deal. It's really hard to make that. It's such a perfect marriage of line and weight. If you're a little heavy, you go by everything, you go through the house, that's no good. If you're a little light and you freeze to it, you leave them a really easy double, that's no good.
Right.
If you don't roll far enough, you leave them an easy double, that's no good. It's just they're just really hard shots. It's a great result. If you could walk it down there and place them, that is what you would call. But it's just they're hard to make. So I think I would have thrown what they threw. I like that call, and they knew that spot. And even where it ended up isn't that bad because this is a hard double to
Yeah.
stick. These two rocks that are kind of right side by side, those doubles look easy, but they're actually really hard.
Right.
You have to hit them at basically the exact same time, and even if you make it, it's hard not to spin your shooter up out of the house here, right? Because when they're like that, it's if you hit the center line, the one closer to the center line first, then your shooter's going to be spinning up and out.
Right. And that's like
Just
what
like
you were
that.
just talking about. So again, unfortunately, another missed opportunity, which has kind of been the theme for Team Kim in this third end. Peterson almost let him off the hook a little bit there, but like you said, that was a tough shot to make the double. Rolls out, only gets rid of one, and it's basically a reset earlier for Corey's first. They're still sitting 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm. On the positive, if you're Team Peterson, you're thinking, well, we left them out, we didn't get it, so we just get to do the same shot again. So,
Yeah, great situation for Team Peterson for sure. Again,
Mhm.
this conversation here isn't about what to call; it's about exactly where you want to put this rock.
right.
You're drawing over to this wing, but it's you saw Becca. They were talking about having it a little bit more towards center line. You saw Becca gesture more towards like dead in front of it.
Yep.
Reason being that you don't, in a perfect world, you don't want to leave them a double and roll. So if they're a little bit towards the center line, then Team Kim can make the double across the face. They can hit it on the center line side, maybe 3/4 of a rock, half a rock, roll behind that other yellow, and make both go away.
그때 이걸 또
Not the end of the world for Tab because she'd have a short run back, but you'd like to not have to throw a run back the way this end is gone to get your 3 points.
Yeah.
그러니까.
Here we go with Tabitha Peterson's first rock. Here in end number 3 with Hammer, trailing by 1.
Really got to go for speed
Yeah.
on this one.
Definitely gonna want to
Oh,
drag
they're
in
gonna
there,
get
but
it there.
should
Great
finish.
sweep.
Yeah. And there's your sitting 4. It's basically a compass. Northeast, southwest, all 4 just covering it up right now. You're
Yellow rocks
Kim.
in all
It's
4 quadrants.
yikes.
It's good to be yellow right now.
Yes, it's very good to be yellow. So right now, if you're Team Kim, are you looking at just which double do we try? How do we get a double and just cut them down to hopefully maybe only giving up the 3 here?
She's looking at the triple.
Triple?
Yeah.
Is that what you'd be looking up to?
I mean, if you have a triple, I think you have to try it.
Yeah, yep.
So I think if she hits this top, if she makes this center line to that that buried corner guard one, looks like that's about half a rock, a thin half, then your shooter might careen over and get that other yellow on the side there. So you're probably looking for, thin half, maybe a third. And you might get all 3 of these.
We could be in for a blockbuster here.
Yeah, game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Tab Peterson, I'm still pretty happy because you're going to have a reasonably makeable shot for
Yes.
2. But when you go from getting 3 or 4 to 2, it sometimes can be a little deflating. Huge shot here for Team Kim.
Just a nose or.
Sometimes can be a little bit hard to throw those when you've had a teammate
Wanna
flash
double check or
there
we
and
trust
on the
him?
high side.
Yeah.
Earlier in the end, you think, geez, I better not set this one, and then, you know, you overcorrect that a little bit. Sometimes those can get in your head a bit.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing and ask you, like, do you think that's a little bit of what could be in play there? That is going to sit in your head when you watch your teammate do this miss on the exact same kind of sheet there, right?
Yeah,
Same
for sure.
pathway.
For sure.
Open draw, though, full 8 here.
I'm counting.
And then we'll be putting a 4 on the board.
So watch this rock. This is the rock I questioned after the last end. I don't think they switched it.
Okay. Then I think you need a little bit more.
근데
Okay. Then do
줄여서 갖고 가는데
This is basically this rock's chance to redeem itself, so
Yes,
it doesn't
exactly.
get punted out of her hand.
Exactly.
It better do its job here, or else it's going to be gone.
Well, and I think it will. It's nice for her to get to throw one with this rock with no pressure.
Yeah.
Not no pressure, but it's a pretty open, pretty makeable shot. So sometimes when you tense up a bit or something, you can start playing with the release without meaning to. So getting to just throw this one free, then you get a good read on what if there's an issue with the rock or not. Based on that, I would suggest there is not. That ran pretty much exactly how they expected. Great shot by Tabitha Peterson and a big 4 on the board.
And that rock lives to see another
It
day for
does,
now.
it
We're
does.
going to let that rock stick around. So big 4 on the board there. As Chelsea said, Team Peterson's going to take the lead now, 5-2 after 3 ends of play. We'll be back with end number 4 action here at the Autumn Gold Curling Classic. Team Kim from Korea will try to rebound after giving that 4. They will have hammer.
좋아요. 아 그럼 잠깐만 이거 7번 스탠데? 5번?
All right, welcome back. Here we are, end number 4 of this Seaside game between Team Peterson and Team Kim. Of course, winner will advance to a Seaside qualifier right after this draw's over. And unfortunately, welcome to Sunday, where the loser goes home. Oh, that sounds so negative and sad. But I guess
Sundays can be mean.
we got to call it as it is.
Yeah,
It's,
it's
hey,
accurate.
if you're playing on a Sunday, that's what's happening here, folks.
I mean, there are people that have gone home already, so
That's true, right? And there we go. That is us. I am James Runge, and of course, joining me, multi-Scotties champion, already booked her ticket into the playoff round tomorrow, Chelsea Carey.
same thing.
Carrying me through this with all of her knowledge, thankfully. So now if you're Team Kim and you're having that chat in between ends, you know, we're not going to throw you under the bus or anything, but every skip goes through where you give up a big end every once in a while. It's happening. So that's what sports are about. What do you do in your conversation of how you regroup and go, okay, let's park in and move forward?
yeah, they had some opportunities there, and they got a little unlucky and kind of were just off on a few where you just rubbed the guard twice and that kind of thing. So the conversation goes, we just need to get 2 back. It's only
Right.
the fourth end. There's lots of game left. Ideally, like a 3 would be great, but as long as we get a 2, we're still in the game. You know, we got lots of time to. If you get 2 and then force, and then get 2 and then force, you're still in a really good position. So it feels like the end of the world, but it isn't. You know, there's still lots of time left. So that usually would be the kind of conversation that my guess is that they would have had between ends.
It's a good example there, too, of just, you know, we kind of talk about, you hear about in sports psychology all the time, the power of positivity thing. And sometimes people always think, oh, okay, like everyone keeps talking about. But this is a good opportunity and a good example where, yeah, that positive thinking is going to play a difference when you're coming off a tough end, giving a big score. You want to go into it with positive mentality now. You have to.
Yeah, there's no being negative is not going to get you anywhere right now. After the game, you can debrief, you know, the few shots that you missed in 3 and how that turned into a 4. But that's not something to worry about right now. Right now, it's just about what do we do next? How do we move forward? So keeping that positive mentality is really a huge key to making a comeback, which is where Team Kim finds themselves right now. They are in need of a comeback.
Yeah. There you see that last draw there. That last camera angle showed it perfectly. That rock just outside the rings.
4, 5, 3. Yeah.
Should say too, Team Peterson will be preparing obviously for the upcoming Tour Challenge coming up in a few weeks as well for Grand Slam of curling. Chelsea, you can be playing Tour Challenge at all?
I am. I'm going with Team Yagi as well. We will be in the Tier 2 portion of that event.
Excellent. Well, congratulations as well to qualify for Tier 2. That's always exciting to make it to a slam, and we'll be excited to see your face back on some slam ice too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be really fun. It's in Niagara. I've never actually gone to Niagara Falls, so I'm hoping I'll have a chance to. So yeah, it'll be really good. I'm very excited and happy to be along for the ride.
It's been a good partnership to have you join. Maybe we'll take a quick second here. Do you want to kind of share how that came to be that you joined up with the Swiss?
Yeah, so they went through some player changes. They had a player who is now with Team Tiranzoni when they made a change, and have gotten. Then Irene Shorey, of course, was their third previously, and she's retired from competitive play now. So just found themselves in a situation where they essentially were 3 and looking for the 4th, and obviously they're playing in Canada a lot.
Yeah.
So looked to Canada. Michelle sent me an email in the summer and asked if I'd be interested, and I can't play everything with them because of work and mixed doubles and other commitments and things, but I was happy to be asked and be invited. I've played against Michelle for years and years and years as a competitor, and always had a lot of respect and a good relationship with her, so I was really excited to get that email and agreed right away. We played in the Oslo Cup September long weekend, and then here again, and then we'll do the Tour Challenge as well. So yeah, it's been great.
That is exciting. And how was Oslo? Oslo's such a beautiful city.
It was my first time in Norway. It was a bucket list one for me. And
Isn't it wonderful?
Incredible. Oh yeah.
Oh, so
my God.
gorgeous.
So amazing.
Yeah.
The club's great. The ice was really good, and like it's just so beautiful. And yeah, it was. I would love to go back and have a bit more time. It was a really quick trip for me because of vacation time from work. But yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. Everything I wanted it to be and way more.
That's excellent. Yeah, I've been to Oslo as well. Beautiful, beautiful city. Norway, beautiful country. Super friendly people too.
Oh, yeah,
just
people are lovely. Yeah.
Just gorgeous. So
yeah, highly recommend. Definitely. It was incredible.
Yes. So if you're listening, anybody, if you've never been to Norway, you have Chelsea and James's seal of approval. That's a bucket list country that you need to go visit.
You should go there.
You will enjoy it. No pressure on you though, Chelsea, filling in for Irene Shorey, by the way. Just, multi-world champion, kind of a big deal.
She has a much better resume than I do, that's for sure, but I'm happy to be involved.
And just a wonderful human being. Great smile
lovely,
too,
lovely
always
person.
laughing.
Yeah, she's a wonderful human. Spent a bit of time with her, obviously played against her a lot, but spent a bit of time with her at some charity bonspiels too, and she's just so much fun and so bubbly and happy and just a lot of fun to be around. She's a wonderful human being.
And like you, a huge football fan, by the way.
Yes, yeah, I saw that trip. I was talking about that with the girls actually between games today, that she is a big NFL fan. So that was really. I was jealous of all the time. I've never been to an NFL game. That's a bucket list one for me too.
She went to a game in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's my #1 team, and messaged her while she was there. I was like, I am so jealous you're at this game. You beat me on a bucket list item there.
There you go.
All right, so what's Team Peterson's plan here in this end right now?
So basically, you're happy to give up one. Even a 2 is not a disaster.
Right.
You're not looking to steal or generate more points for yourself right now. You're just trying to get out of this end with as little damage as possible and get the hammer back in a perfect world. But you also, at this point, if you're Team Peterson, if you're happy with Team Kim blanking as many ends as they would like to, which is 0. They would not like to blank any ends.
Yeah.
But so basically, try to be as safe as you can and in theory eliminate rocks. But the way this has played out so far, they're in a pretty good spot. So that seems like an aggressive call for the scoreboard, but it sort of was what she had to do. Now, unfortunately, it did come a little bit deep. So now you're going to see Team Kim try this little combo run back, and I like their chances of making it. It's those rocks. The less separation there is with those rocks until you get to the point where it drags, the easier the shot is. So this is a pretty makeable one.
Yep. Oh.
And when we're talking about shots like this, run backs and these big hits, maybe do you want to share a little bit about what it means? We always hear when you're watching Scotties or slam events where you hear commentators talking about the striking bands of the rocks and a little bit of that. Do you want to share a little bit, just for people maybe that aren't as familiar, what the striking band is and why that's so important with some of these shots?
Yeah, so the striking band is the part of the rock that hits each other when they make contact. And depending on how thin or how thick that is will kind of play into how lively those rocks are and how much they spring off each other. So you'll hear Russ Howard and at the Scotties and the Briars and all the Curling Canada events talk about lively striking bands. The other piece of it is the insert on the bottom of the rock, the blue hone insert that he'll talk about. But yeah, the striking band, so often in curling clubs when you have older rocks, the striking bands aren't so lively. But here, they got new rocks just a couple years ago here, so we're probably not quite to the level of an arena at a slam or something, but pretty close.
Right.
So it gives you a chance to make some doubles and stuff that might not be there on normal curling club ice, because when the rock springs off it, that lively striking band, you can get more action onto the second rock. So your shooter has more momentum, basically,
right,
is what it leads to. So then you can make some doubles that wouldn't be possible if you had rocks with a less lively or a deader feeling striking band.
So better striking band is what you're liking to play with.
Yes, it's what you want. It for sure gives you, it just puts more shots in your arsenal, and it also gives you a bit of a margin for error because you can hit that first rock a bit thicker and get away with it because it's going to fly off there more than if you had a deader striking band.
Right on. Well, that has been another edition of Curling with Carrie. Thanks for that knowledge, Carrie. That's always helpful, Chelsea, when we get some of that.
So not the result they were looking for there. So maybe we are seeing a little bit of that side being heavier. They seemed a bit surprised by that. They did sweep it the whole way, but that's, with a team of this caliber, that's not close to what they were going for. So maybe it is getting that little bit heavier now that we're in the fourth end, which is about when it happened for us. So maybe seeing that side start to come down a little bit for speed. It isn't crazy. It's playable and makeable. You just have to know that side is slower, and it seems right now like it's still surprising them a little bit.
Yeah. And just for the chat, we'll give everyone an update. We're going to, after the end of end number 4 here, we will do a scoreboard watch for all the other games on the ice and let you know what's happening. So stay tuned for that. And welcome, of course, everybody that's in the chat and watching us online. Jump on, let us know where you're watching from. If you want to drop in who you're cheering for, we always will always appreciate both of that. Of course, we're up here neutral, cheering for both teams and just good curling. But drop us in, say hello, tap that little heart on the side, give us a little like. Especially because Chelsea's dropping all this wonderful knowledge on you, so you should like everything she's letting you in on. So your opportunity to kind of pose a question to Chelsea, too, if you ever have a chance to talk to her. Now's your opportunity. Chelsea, all these people are just here for your taking. They can just take advantage of your brain today.
Like, I'm here for it.
So here's Tabitha Peterson. We're on first skip stones here in end number 4. Of course, as you see in our side, Team Kim will have hammer here.
So this is one where, like I said, you came into this end if you're Tabitha Peterson, thinking that all you want is to let them take their one and then take the hammer back. But you've now shifted that, because there isn't a rock worth peeling there really. Like that red rock's actually helping you because it's blocking her draw path. and B, it's an opportunity.
Thank
So
you.
you've seen them hit the switch a little bit from defense basically to an opportunity for offense. So I think pretty good result there for Team Kim. Can't get inside on this, so I don't see a great result there. And because, like I said, their rock is sort of in their own way.
We talk about, you wanting to have control of the front of the house, the front yard, if you will, and those are red rocks for Team Kim right now, but are any of them really that helpful to Team Kim?
Not really. I mean, she's going to use this guard, this accidental guard that they threw. She's probably going to come around that right now.
Right.
So it's useful in that sense. She can be shot, rock, and buried here,
Never mind, they're gone.
which if she makes it is great, but is a high pressure shot. The other one, because there's that yellow stone behind it, it's sort of negated. You can't really promote it onto anything because it's what we would call hooked by that Team Peterson stone behind it. So big shot here. We'll see if they make an adjustment on the speed.
Okay.
Team Kim will have to go back to the game plan they did in end number 2 and try to maybe get lucky with a skipper's deuce here.
Well, it might be dead again because it wasn't working for Tab last game. 4-3. That weight should be pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what was happening to us. They thought the weight was okay early, and then it just curls like crazy and dies in there. So it's hard because you watch the person throw it and you think it's got to be heavy, but you have to keep a broom on it because as soon as you're not sweeping it, that's what's going to happen. So it does look like we're seeing that happen again. We'll see if they can get it figured out. It is quite predictable. It does it every time. It's just that you sort of need to trust that it's that much different all of a sudden, and that's the part that gets a little bit tough.
Yeah. You could
I like that.
maybe,
Top
if you're
8 is
lucky,
just
put a
fine.
piece of paper in between how that just got by that front red. That
For
was
sure.
that was a deep breath in, I would think, for Team Kim
Absolutely,
on that.
but I mean, as it turns out, it didn't matter if
Didn't
it got
matter.
by or not.
Yes.
Unfortunately, because the weight all came off. But I think they thought that the weight was
Honestly,
close.
Yeah.
We should be able to sleep it a little bit more.
So now just
Their first one that
trying to take away that same shot, which is hard because of, again, how much curl there is on this side and where those guards are. You'd have to get by that outside one pretty tight and sweep it really hard to get by the one you just threw. So again, unfortunately for Team Kim, a little bit of the case of your own rock being your worst enemy in that rock that's top 12 foot.
Yeah.
So for Tab, just looking to block this side, and then all Team Kim probably has is some sort of double tap promotion for one, and you're looking at a steal of 2 if you don't make it. So
is just
big pressure coming up here if Tab can.
4-4. Same thing you just
In the
Take this away.
hindsight 2020 argument there, would it almost been better if they just would have actually hit their red one and
It
just
would have
pushed
been.
it over and
Yeah.
opened up the path better for them?
Oh yeah, as it
Yeah.
turns out, it would have been, but I don't think they thought it was that light.
Because of the weight,
Yeah.
like you were talking about. Yeah, good call.
If they knew it was that light, you would have said, whoa, and yeah, just
Let it
clung to your
happen.
own, and then you have 2 rocks to raise, and you have some options with it this way. It's not ideal because it's a really hard draw to get through there.
Yeah.
Ooh, she's that is a courageous call by Tabitha Peterson. I'd have just been throwing a guard in that hole, and she's
Going
putting
right
the
in.
screws to Team Kim here, sitting 3 now with no real way in. You can throw this in turn to give them 2,
Yeah.
but you're giving them 2,
Yep.
which at this point, unfortunately, with the scoreboard, you can't really do. But the only way to score is that double tap, which now is against 3, maybe 4, if either of those yellows are biting. Well,
think
the side one's in for sure.
I think the top red might be outscoring
Oh yeah, the
that
top.
side.
That's true. Right. You're right. Yeah.
Might be that might be the only advantage of that red that came
Yes,
in. Is that
true.
it's now out counting a biter over there.
There's
maybe.
a use for it. Yeah.
We got to give them at least a positive on something
Yeah.
there, right?
Maybe if you could get to this with like a hack weight, you could kill the back one and only
Right.
give them 1.
Yep.
It's probably the best result without taking on the risk of that double tap and giving them 2 or 3.
Yeah, good call. So here we go. Last rock for Team Kim here in end number 4, facing 3 and already trailing 5-2. It's going to be on the front, but let's see where it ends. Yep, plan B. So it will be, as you said there, as you heard the team say, steal of 2 for Team Peterson. They'll toss a 2 on the board, pad their lead to 7-2 after 4. Team Kim will retain hammer here going into 5, but it's going to be a little bit of an up-here battle now against a very experienced and previous champion here, Team Peterson.
Yeah, good job.
And as we go through end number 4 and the teams talk it out in their quick 4th end break, there we go. Thank you, our camera crew. Chelsea, what do we got going on our other sheets of ice?
So it looks like
Which turn do
Team
we like
Holland was able to get their single in the 3rd end, so they are up 3-2 on Team Hunkin. Looking at Skip Rocks coming back in 4. Nakamura and Ha appear to be tied at 1 apiece, also playing the 4th end.
Looks like they're in skip stones as well. Whoa, we got something going on that B qualifier.
Yeah, it looks like Corinne Brown has opened up a significant lead. 6-0 after 4.
Steal a 3 and 4 for her too, wow.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a very big one there. And our feature game, of course.
And then sheet number 6.
It looks like it's a tie game there.
Yeah, there we
Team
go.
Muse, I think,
Careful.
stole one in the 4th end to tie it up.
Okay,
So
it's starting
Team
to
Galusha
throw.
with the hammer playing 5 in a tie game. Ackerman and Watling just finished the 4th end. I'm not sure what happened there, but Ackerman had a 2-point lead going into that. So we'll see what ended up happening. And we have our first final on sheet 8. They didn't mark what happened in the last end, but it must have been a big number for Team Beth Peterson because it led to handshakes. So Beth Peterson with the win in the Seaside, eliminating Kayla Skrellick.
Yeah, the Alberta champions going home a little earlier than expected after reaching the playoffs last year through the A side. And great. We'll be back for 5th end. And welcome back. Here we are for end number 5 action of this C semifinal game between USA's Team Peterson and Korea's Team Kim. As we saw in the last end, Team Peterson picked up the steal of 2 to pad their lead to 7-2. Team Kim back against the wall a little bit now heading into the second half of this game. Hey, Chelsea?
Yeah, it's now getting to do or die territory.
Hey, here's
You need to
something.
hang a multiple point score here. If there's not a crooked number on the board, you're in some pretty big trouble. So
Yeah.
caution to the
Yeah,
wind.
think of
If
it.
you're Team Kim, you're all in for getting 2 or 3 here.
We want them to get on the board, score a few more points. Our fans watching would probably like to see that because then we get to hear Chelsea tell us more and educate us on what's going on in the curling scene. So this is always a little bit good if we get a few more ends of hearing Chelsea on commentary.
For anyone keeping score on the other sheets.
Yeah,
we do have a
had that
marked
rid of it,
score on sheet 7 right beside us here, and Team Watling got 2 to tie it up. So 2-2 there, all even, playing 5 between Ackerman and Watling.
And that is, of course, like we said, another Seaside semifinal game. So win and staying alive is the theme of this draw. Or win and qualify if you're Team Brown or Team Cameron on sheet number 4.
언니 팔에 kit도 있어.
The winner of that game basically just gets to come sit up here with Chelsea Carey and have a drink, I guess, and wait for the playoffs tomorrow. When you qualify in the B side, Chelsea, and you don't really have a day off like the A side does, but you don't have a full bout of time. What do you do in that time frame between the quarterfinals the next morning and now you have an evening basically off and that's it?
You come and commentate the game.
What a great answer to a stupid question is what just happened there, folks, as you saw. Yeah, dummy, you sit here and commentate with you. That's what I'm doing.
I mean, it
Good
depends.
call.
It depends on the team and quite
Right.
frankly on the age of the players. Like for me, I'm real happy to have a break. My body needs it. I'm good. I don't need to spend a lot of time doing curling related things for the one evening you have off. I mean, all the teams that
Yeah.
are playing in the B have already played quite a few games. So
Yes.
you're not feeling like you don't have enough. The whole day off, you want to practice. You want a game. Like the Skins game is great because you get to come out and play some competitive stuff. You're making shots. You're doing all that stuff. So that's good. You don't want a whole day off of just sitting at home. But when it's just an evening, for us, I guess it's an afternoon and an
Nice
evening. But
little
for the winner of
Paleo.
this game, it'll just be basically the evening draw. And then
Yeah.
you're back early in the morning, and potentially, hopefully, you're playing 3 games tomorrow.
Yes.
So I would suggest you take your rest. Certainly, if you're as old as I am, that's what you do. Besides, the commentary part. Here I am in the booth.
You're only as old as you feel there, Chelsea.
Yeah, well, then I'm even older than I actually am.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, man. I think I'm older than you, Chelsea, so stop. You're going to make me feel even worse about myself here, and I didn't even do anything all day today. All I did was watch you curl earlier and now sit next to you and commentate. So
I'm sure there's a few people who are mad at me for saying that, but
well, we saw a little miss there from Kim on the last shot, and Peterson peeling off the
I'm like,
guards. Obviously,
why?
they don't want any rocks in play. They don't need them because they work against
But
them.
then when I
So
hit the frost, I was like, if I'm
Kim's
let
kind of
this
got her
stick
back
around,
against
I'm
the
gonna
wall
look-
here, trying to generate something in this
So I
fifth
kept
end. Hey.
going.
yeah, you need at least a 2 here, and so they're looking now at playing
Thank
some
you.
kind of a freeze. You hope that Tabitha makes a play on it and doesn't remove the red, and then maybe your 3's back in play. But if you make a decent freeze here, then at least you're looking at maybe getting your 2. Unfortunately, this is looking a little heavy and a little bit wide.
Yeah.
Tapping that isn't bad, but you had to get to the nose. That was the biggest thing. Whether you just straight freeze or tap it, as long as you're on the nose, it was a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
Even.
If you're Peterson, do you just think of even just peeling that out and losing this? You don't need the shooter in play, do you?
Yeah, I probably would. I like the peel on the high side personally. It's tempting because you can put a bunch of pressure on
Right.
Team Kim by keeping it in there, and so far that's worked in their favor, and they're getting some misses from Team Kim. So I get where she's coming from for sure. Neither is wrong.
Yeah.
But you don't need your shooter in the house.
Yep.
You certainly could make an argument for just peeling this out of here.
And as you see on the right side there, you saw sheet number 4 moving the rocks down. There were handshakes after the 5th end there. Congratulations to BC's Team Brown. They will be the other B qualifier. They will be in the playoffs starting tomorrow. While Manitoba's Team Cameron, they will drop down to play the Seaside qualifier game right coming up later tonight after this draw.
That's why they show.
So second chance still there for Team Cameron, but a dominating win for Team Brown, who have been playing extremely well this season so far. As has Team Cameron, though. Let's give props to both.
Absolutely.
With an event like this, Chelsea, it's a big, obviously 32 teams, massive triple knockout. How do you like it when it's this many teams of a triple? Do you like you said earlier, there's a lot of games you're playing. Potentially, if you come through the C, you've already played 6 games before even getting 3 for the playoff round. You could potentially have to play 9 games to win. That's a lot in a span of 3-4 days. What do you like? What do you think about the triple? Do you like these triple knockouts that are this big?
I like triples.
Yeah?
Like in my opinion, the 16-team triple is the perfect draw. If I
Right.
could play every event I ever played in a 16-team triple, I would be very happy. Win 3 before you lose 3. It's just so perfect. There's no drops to weird spots. There's no extra games. It's the absolute perfect draw.
Canadian Open type of thing at
Exactly.
the Grand Slam.
I love it. I absolutely love it. The argument from people all the time, which I get, is that with a round robin, you know when you're playing, so you can plan around it better.
Right.
But you also might have to play meaningless games, which is
Yeah,
my
as
biggest
long
pet peeve
as-
personally.
Yep.
Yep.
These ones
I
are
don't
a
think there's any
grind.
point.
They're big, and
I
it
think,
used
yeah,
to
you
be
just double
that
those
this
out
was
of
what
there
we
and
had.
pick
Like
it.
these were slams. This was a slam at
Yeah,
one point
good
before
call.
the slams were
Apparently
what they
not
are
fun.
now with TV and Sportsnet and all that stuff. There was one in Winnipeg, the Lotteries event. There was one in Saskatoon for a few years at the
Yep.
Nutana. There used to be one out in New Glasgow, Scotland.
Yeah, right.
The Sobe
What's your
Slam, and
thought
then this
process
one
on
were
that?
kind of
You
the
know, like,
four.
pick this guy.
And they were all 32-team triples. Like this is what that was the only kind of, we didn't know what round robins, we didn't play round robins except at the Scotties.
Right.
So it was very different. But I personally like a triple because
you
there's
wanna
no
flop
meaningless
in?
games. But these ones, especially if you're coming through C, you're playing 3 games today, you're on at 8:15 tonight, potentially you played 3 back-to-back, and then you got to get up in the morning and be here for 9 a.m. It's a really short night and a short turnaround, and then you're hoping to play 3 more games. I know my teammates did that last year. Team Yagi
Yes.
lost the final last year, and they came through the sea, and they were, talking about being old then too. And Michelle's younger than me, and Irene's my age, so they can relate.
That's true. I remember being here last year for last year's event, but I will say we'll give Irene the shout out for sure. Smiling every time. Every time she
Always.
stepped on the ice, didn't matter. Three game days, she was just ready to go every time. So that's the kind of personality you like to see in the sport of curling. That happiness and that just a good smile is always nice.
They're the
Yeah,
same
Michelle
thing.
said they were chatting before I can't even remember if it was the second or the third game on the Monday. And she said, I looked at Irene and I said, like, are you okay? Can you play? And she said, no. And I said, no, me neither. I was like, oh, that's good.
What are you thinking of there?
Obviously, they figured it out because they made it to the final.
Yeah.
여기 많이 돌지 않나?
Pressure on you then. Last
Yeah.
year's finalists, like
Seriously.
Chelsea, if you don't make the final tomorrow,
I
like,
know.
it's your fault then,
I'll
hey?
be fired.
But on the triple knockout side of it, getting back to that point, while Team Kim is getting ready to throw here, would you like to see maybe at least one more slam, having more slams be the triple knockout? It's like we said, the Canadian Open is the only one that isn't. The rest are the pool play format. Would you like to see a little bit more of the triple knockouts go there?
I mean, personally, I like it as a player, but it's harder for the organizers when you're putting it on TV.
Yes.
Because you want to schedule certain games at certain times. You don't want to have, on one sheet it's Jones and Holman, and on the next sheet it's Hasselberg and Tiranzoni. And you're
Yeah.
like, which game do you put on TV? Where
Right.
in a round robin, you can spread those out on purpose, and it just makes it a bit easier for them from a planning standpoint.
Yeah.
So I get why, but as a player I like them. But unfortunately for us, the slams, as much as we would like to think they're about the players, they're not. They're about the fans. So
Fact.
yeah, so that's why we don't see a lot of it, because it makes it a lot easier from an organizational standpoint to make it a round robin. And a lot of the players prefer. I think I'm
wanna
an
make sure
anomaly
it
in that I
goes
like the triple knockout better because you can't plan. It's really nice to know going in, like, okay, we play this time on this day, this time on this day, and at slams it's 1 game a day, and you know which time you're at. I just hate the games that don't mean anything.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've always said the same thing, like in the blog and writing on the 2020 blog for all these years. I agree with you. I like the triple knockout. I like the unpredictability of not knowing who's going to play
Yeah,
each other
I
too.
do
I think
too.
it's, as a fan, the fan of you loves it because you don't know what matchup you're going to get, but you know it's kind of exciting.
It's a
And-
bracket like March Madness, and you get a big
Yes,
upset, and then all of a sudden, and then now you get 2 teams that you would think would be A qualifiers playing in the C, and it's sudden death, and it's like it sucks as the teams, it
Totally.
sucks as the players, but it's really
100%.
exciting for the fans. So I like it, but I think a lot of the players, I know a lot of my former teammates would smack me for saying that because they like knowing when they're going to play, which I do get. I like that part that's my favorite part of round robins. But if you're 0-3 and you have to stay an extra day to play the last round robin
Yeah.
game, that's just not a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you hope to not be 0-3,
Yeah.
obviously, but it happens sometimes.
So you're saying we're not winning over many friends in the curling community as athletes by pushing for triple knockouts.
I mean, I think there's probably some people that agree with me.
Let's
but,
hope so.
Well, there.
Jeez.
I definitely know there's a lot of people that don't agree with me. So, I mean, I've never been afraid to share my opinion regardless.
That's why you sit in the commentary booth, so you can kind of give your opinion. So here we go, Team Peterson throwing her last here in end number 5. It's been, unfortunately, not the greatest end for Team Kim with some bad misses and unfortunate misses. So Peterson's going to come down there. They're going to be sitting there.
That is not what they wanted there, though, because now this does leave a double for Team Kim to get their 2.
Get their 2
they
back.
were hoping for that to be back anywhere behind that yellow rock. The other yellow rock at the top of the forfeit would have worked.
Yeah, and at this point, when you're Team Peterson, you have the big lead, and you just want to keep really applying the pressure to get the game over with, because like we said, this is a Seaside semifinal, so winning this game, you are right back on the ice right away tonight in the C qualifier. I'm sure Team Peterson would have liked to kind of almost end the game in this end number 5, get some handshakes early and get off the ice so they can get some food in them, get some relaxation, and get back and prepared back on the ice. But big miss and a good opportunity for Team Kim to get 2 points back on the board. Then you'd only be down 3 with 3 ends to play.
Yeah, it's a big 2. It keeps you alive. Anything less than 2, the game's pretty much over, and it likely is anyway. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that you could see steal, or a multiple point steal. We've seen that happen. So now that being said, she has to make this first, and this is a hard shot. It's a very thin double. Don't really want to see them sweeping right out of her hand when it's a thin double usually. It's not a great sign.
And unfortunately, double will not be there. It will be a steal of 1 again for Team Peterson. They will increase their lead again now to take the 8-2 lead over Team Kim from Korea.
Keep putting the pedal on the metal.
And there you thank you, Team
Thanks,
Peterson.
Tara.
I think we know what the plan is for Team Peterson right now. They're going to keep putting the pedal to the metal, as they said. We'll see what Team Kim decides to do. We will take a quick break, show up our sponsors, thank them for everything, and we will come back potentially with end number 6 action. And welcome back. We are here. Team Kim is saying, no, Team Peterson, we are not stopping yet. We are ready to go, and they're still going to keep the fight alive. So Team Korea has decided to keep playing, which is always fun for us because we get to watch a little bit more curling, which we enjoy. And for all of you watching online, in the chat, joining us today, this also means you get at least minimum 1 more end of Curling with Carrie. We're not getting rid of you that fast, Chelsea.
Yeah, not letting me out of here, eh?
No. Team Kim's supporting the fact that we want to hear Chelsea on commentary a little bit longer, that's all. So unfortunately, that rock is going to drift into the house. And as we heard, Team Peterson's plan here is pedal to the metal. They are going to just try to make this end as easy and less painful as possible for them. Less rocks is definitely the advantage for them here.
Unfortunately for Team Kim, it's kind of the story of the game. They need a corner guard. They need all the points they can get, and that rock sliding into the house is not going to help. Let's Tara Peterson throw a rare lead peel.
That sticks around on the side. You know, we were just talking about different formats for events and the slams and stuff like that. With the Tier 1 and 2 Tour Challenge coming up, would you ever think, Chelsea, that it might be fun just to combine them both into one event and go back to that 32-team Grand Slam knockout and just let the Tier 2 and Tier 1 teams be the top 32 and let them go to town and see what happens?
Yeah, you could. The players, including myself, would not like that one.
No, not a fan, hey?
No. They did, the first year they did a event like that, like a tour challenge. They did have Tier 1 and Tier 2, and I think it was something like the Tier 2 qualifiers got into the quarterfinal against the Tier 1 teams or something.
Yeah,
that did exist in Brantford years ago. But no, I mean, the idea is that you give the tier 2 teams a chance, because you go into tier 1, it's hard not to, kind of get your butt handed to you by some of the best teams in the world the first time you go. So this way you get to play against the teams that are in a similar situation to you, either maybe a new team that's trying to kind of climb up the rankings, or a young team or whatever.
Yeah.
Play against each other, and then the idea is to create a bit more of a feeder system, because unfortunately with the top teams in the world being as good as they are, you get them into a 32 team triple like this, and I mean, we all did it, and it's fine. It was part of the process. But for years, you just donate your money to these bonspiels, and you get your butt kicked by these teams, and it can be demoralizing, and you lose people from the sport. So by having the 2 tiers, I think it motivates the tier 2 teams. Plus, if you win it, you see Team Grandy and Team Dropkin that are now in the tier 1. Carrie Anderson beat us in the final of the tier 2 the only other time I played in it, and she's been in tier 1 ever since, and we've seen what she's done.
Yeah, good
call. So I think it's really good for the growth of the game. There's a lot of talk about the grassroots and what we're doing to it, with curling being such a professional sport now and full-time job and all that stuff. By having some events like that kind of feed into the slams, it promotes that kind of, the teams that are young and trying to break through, and new teams and all that. It gives them a chance. So I like it, the format the way it is, personally.
Awesome. Love it. Well, you've got a fan over here as well, Chelsea. Cheryl loves it when you commentate.
Thank you, Cheryl.
So she's quite happy to have you here. And Chelsea, you're even getting, look what's happening. You're getting questions now from the fans here.
Perfect.
Steve has a great question for you. September 2017, they had the Tour Challenge in Regina. He was there, and he watched you play a match where he was in the bar over the tier 2.
Yeah.
And now we're just waiting for him to type his part of the question here. I'm hoping the question was, how was the bar up in Regina? That's maybe what it was.
That was the one I was just talking about. We lost the final to Carrie Anderson.
There you go. Yeah, good reference. Megan loves hearing you as well. You're popular.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man. You qualify. You're having some wine. You get to commentate. A great day. Chelsea's just sitting here getting the love from everybody.
Love and life.
We'll wait for Steve if he has the question on the second part here. I'll just ask you a quick question too. We talked about it. I'm talking about it a little on the blog too. We're seeing a little bit more parity on the women's side of the games. We have those top teams like you talked about in the top upper echelon of tier 1, let's say. But that next grouping is really grouped tough. Even the distance between the tier 1 to tier 2, those 12, 13 ranked teams to 19, 20, it really seems they're really grouped now. Are you, as a player, are you seeing more of that parity as well? And how good do you think that is for the growth of the game like we're talking about?
Yeah, I agree. I do think that that's the case, and I think it's awesome for the game. It's exactly what we need. And it's no disrespect to any of the teams that were so dominant for so long, because they earned that. Good for them. But you get tired of watching the same 2 teams in the final every time.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have some new faces and some turnover, and that is part of the goal. For succession planning, we want to see the turnover from some of the younger teams moving in, and we saw Team Rano finally break through and win the Swedish championship, and they're going to the Europeans. Like, that's huge for them, and that's no disrespect to Team Hasselberg. They're one of the best teams to ever play the game. But you want to see some of the younger teams coming up and having some success. So seeing that level of parity, and that it's a little bit of like anyone can beat anyone, with the exception of maybe 4 or 5 teams at the very, very top.
Right.
It's great. It's great for the sport. It's exciting as a fan to watch it. It's just I love it. I love seeing that.
And from that side, too, let's be even more hyper-specific from the female athlete sport angle of it, too. How great is it just for our upcoming females or girls that are watching the sport and our kids watching to see and go out and be like, yeah, you know what, I can be out there, I can get out there, and there's just so many good teams and so many players, and anybody can beat anybody. And just what does that do for growing for the next generation, those younger girls that are going to step up and watching you and watching Carrie Glusha and Carrie and Rachel and all these people and go, yeah, I want to do this too.
Yeah, I think it's great for that, and I think that we're lucky in curling where there is more equality between the men and the women.
Yep.
Not necessarily maybe in some of the smaller tour events as far as purses and stuff, but the slams are equal. The Scotties and the Briar now are equal as far as money and payouts, and and coverage and all that stuff,
Yes.
and that's unique, but it shouldn't be unique. It's what we need to see in every other sport. Give women a chance, and you'll see the ratings support it. I mean,
Yes.
the Scotties final is often rated higher than the Brier final,
Yep.
like, from viewership standpoint. So if you give women's sports the chance to do stuff, they do it. It's just that it's not been given the chance historically. So we're lucky as curlers to be kind of leading that charge in a lot of ways, and certainly one of the sports to be a more progressive in that sense. So, combine that with seeing some parity and seeing some young teams kind of break through and start to win some stuff. I mean, that's not saying that happens by chance. I've watched how hard Team Rano works, and trust me, they've earned it.
Yes.
But it's good to see that it's possible, that you don't have to wait till someone retires. You can beat them now. It's just, it's exciting for the sport. It's exciting for women in sports in general. It's good things all around, which is awesome.
And it is what makes this event, and going back to being here at the Autumn Gold Curling Class, what makes this event so special is it has always been a women's only event. It's steeped in deep history to the late 70s to now. It's been a big focus for the sponsors, for the organizing committee, for the Calgary Curling Club, for everybody that's involved in this event, whether it's now or in the past or got it started, to really put the focus on women's sports, women's curling, why it's equally important and why it deserves to have that equality and equal respect. It is what makes this event so special, I would imagine.
Absolutely, and it's one of the longest running tour events there is.
Yes.
And like you say, the history and things. I think I played in my first one in 2006, and I don't think I've missed one since then. I've been at this event, and that was when I lived in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I've only been in Alberta for 9-10 years now, and so it's just always been like, I don't know what I would do on Thanksgiving if I wasn't in Calgary curling. It would be so weird.
Right?
I mean, it's just a fantastic event, and it's so impressive to see how long it's been able to run, and at the same club with this, a lot of the same committee members and volunteers, and it's really quite special.
It is.
This event.
It is a special event. And we've got Steve's question on that. He was back talking about the Tour Challenge event that you were competing in September 2017 in Regina. They noticed your time clock was running low, and I guess all the guys were up there yelling at you and talking about it. Do you ever hear that was happening? Do you hear about clock problems? Do you ever hear fans talking about it? Do you hear fans at Tour Challenges, because the fans are usually so close to you, you can hear everything they say? Does that distract you sometimes too? Or do you love, like, Steve's up there being like, Carrie, hello, your clock's running down. What are you doing?
Yeah, so you do, at an arena, typically you can hear the fans. Most of the time you're trying not to. So, people will say to me after, like, that this person was being obnoxious, or did you hear that person yell that? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, because you're focused on what you're doing. But I mean, it definitely does happen, and you do hear it. Most of the time, the teams are more aware than the fans of how low the clock is. Like, you can't tell me that Kevin Cooey doesn't know he has 5 seconds left to throw, and he's the best in the world at throwing with 5 seconds left by far. But I mean, it's something that you have to get used to. I remember the first Olympic trials that I went to was in Winnipeg, which was my hometown, and we were still living there at the time, and so it's going to be loud and all that stuff, and I had a friend of mine who worked in radio at the time make me like a sort of a white noise clip with random like horns and people. There would be a guy who'd yell, "Boo, you suck!" And so it just was to simulate crowd noise, and I would practice with headphones in, listening to this track on repeat, so that you could kind of get used to the idea that, and same with, we would have practices where we weren't allowed to yell, because we're like, you're not going to be able to hear anything.
Right.
So the whole practice, even though it was a dead empty curling club, it was all just hand signals, no talking, no yelling, no nothing allowed.
Wow.
Because we were trying to prepare for what that was going to be like. So it's definitely a different experience. It's an awesome experience.
Yes,
like, it's the most fun way to curl for sure. But it's something that you have to learn to deal with, because you're about to throw a shot and the crowd goes nuts about something. Like, you have to be able to reset and get back in the hack and throw that like nothing ever happened. But the first time you do it, it's very overwhelming. But it's so much fun. Like, every curler that has played in those events with that energy in the building and stuff, it is by far the best experience.
Do you notice the fans in the crowd waving to you sometimes, being like, "Hi,
I
friends"?
don't look. I purposely
don't look away.
Yeah,
there you go.
but like, if you watch Haji, he's like waving back to him. He's like, but some people can do that and some people can't.
Yes, that's
and you
right.
have to know yourself. And for me, it's not beneficial. I'll do it if if we're at fifth and break or something like that. But for me, I have to be like, try to stay a little bit more focused. But a lot of people do better when they do that. When
Yes.
and a lot of
Relaxes.
times when you're playing front end and you're like, for me, I'm watching the other team's shot and I'm trying to kind of stay in, if this spot is going to curl or isn't or whatever. And they finish sweeping the one and they're kind of just standing there while there's decisions being made by the other team and they're looking in the crowd and stuff. But yeah, I've had teammates that are both ways, where they'll very much interact with the crowd, and then those who are more like me, where you just kind of try not to look.
Love it. Well, here we got Team Kim about to throw the final stone here in end number 6. And as you saw with the camera angle, they are facing 6 yellow in the house right now. Yeah, just kind of been the story of how this unfortunate game has gone for them.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be Velcro here either way.
Yep, I think you're right.
But in the fashion of the way this game has gone, she might have got it in there. No, not quite.
No. So it will be another steal of 1 for USA's Tabitha Peterson to pad the lead again to 9-2. And as Chelsea properly predicted, that will be handshakes. It will be a 9-2 win for Team Peterson. They will advance to the Seaside qualifier tonight. Team Kim, good run though here. Like we said, we haven't seen them a lot on tours. One of their first tour events since the Korean Championships in June. Making it this far, they will be eliminated. And before we go off the air, Chelsea, let's do another quick scoreboard watch, give everyone an update on where everything is going. So sorry, camera crew, but we're just going to catch you off guard there. But you're always on top of it. Surprise, we're going to cameras. There's us. That's great. Okay, there we go. Chelsea, what's going on our other sheets on play?
So it looks like pretty much control for Team Holland here. Back to being one up with. They were that a few ends ago. For Team Hunkin took that 2 points in 5, but Holland one up with playing 6. Pretty good position to be in. Team Nakamura is one up without. And then, of course, our 2 finished games. Cameron, unfortunately for them, losing to Team Corinne Brown, and Kim losing to Peterson. We've got Team Galusha with a 2 in 5 to go 2 up on Team Muse on sheet 6. And on sheet 7, we had a steal of 1 in the 5th end by Team Watling, so they lead Team Ackerman by 1, but Ackerman has the hammer playing the 6th.
And of course, we have Team Peterson, who we said earlier, they were our first final of the game. They knocked off our Alberta champions, Team Skrlik. Peterson will advance to the C qualifier tonight. So, as we say, thanks for joining us, everybody that joined on the live chat today. Thanks for joining the stream. Whether you joined the chat or not, you just wanted to watch and listen to Chelsea Carey and some curling with Carey. It was another successful time. Chelsea, thanks for stepping into the booth right after a game. I know you wanted to celebrate with the team, but I appreciate that you wanted to join us as well. It's been great. Lots of good information that you shared with us. And most importantly, congratulations on qualifying with Team Yagi. And best of luck tomorrow in the playoffs. As we said, if you don't make the finals, though, Irene might say it's your fault, right?
Yep. Rightfully so. That would be okay. That's justified. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, everyone, join us again. We have another draw. The last draw tonight, it will be 4 C qualifier games. So those are the big ones to get into the playoffs. Win and in or lose and go home. So we will join you again tonight. All the best. And, of course, as we say, happy Thanksgiving to everyone across Canada. For your friends and family, give thanks. And we appreciate and give thanks to all of you for joining us.